I think we should just let's put aside the disagreement and even the debate on this, and let's come to a resolution here that will bring a lot of calm to the millions of Canadians who are worried about their taxes going up. The minister claims that only the 0.13% wealthiest Canadians will pay. So why not just enshrine that in law? Will she commit today to pass an amendment to her tax bill stating that no one whose income is in the bottom 99.87% will pay any new taxes at all?
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, I want to quote some interesting words that were stated in this House of Commons. Quote, "The monstrous increases in capital gains are making the rich vastly richer and creating a kind of aristocratic feudal economy." Do you know who said that, Mr. Speaker? The member for Carleton. We agree the current system is unfair. We are pushing against it. What made the member, after 8 weeks of dithering, change his mind?
Mr. Speaker, we're simply asking the minister to put her words into law. Okay? So she's claimed that no one who earns less than the top 0.13% of income in the country will be affected. So once again, will she amend her bill to say that no one who is in the bottom 99.87% of income earners will pay any new tax increase whatsoever? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, let's review what we've learned so far in question period today. First, the leader of the official opposition doesn't even understand how the capital gains inclusion rate works.
Yes.
That's a problem. Second, the leader of the official opposition disavows his own words in this House about capital gains. But probably the most important thing is that the average income in Carleton is $58,400. Their MP is not on the side of working people earning that wage in his own.
That's bottom line.
That is shameful.
Mr. Speaker, I'm just quoting right now from her own budget speech, where she said, for 99.87% of Canadians, there will be no extra capital gains tax. Okay, she put it in the her speech. So why won't she put it in the law?
Hear, hear.
Speaker, for about 20 years, this leader has been skulking around this place without really much contact with the outside world. In the 9 years that they've been over there, they voted against a child benefit, a dental plan, a prescription drug plan, a child care plan. Every time Canadians look to that person to stand up for their interests, for fairness in Canada, that guy takes a seat, Mr. Speaker.
I see they've pulled the finance minister off the ice. She can't answer a question. So she mentioned she won't guarantee in law that the bottom 99.87% of Canadians will pay nothing. So let's make it a little bit easier for her. She claimed that she doesn't want welders to have to pay more. Will she amend her bill to ensure that not a single welder anywhere in Canada will be forced to pay this tax increase? Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, we will take no lessons of these conservatives. Mr. Speaker, generational fairness is key to Canadians, Mr. Speaker, and that's why in the last budget we presented measures, Mr. Speaker, measures to build this country, measures to invest in our economy, measures to invest in the middle class, measures to help Canadians, Mr. Speakers. And you know what? Our capital gains change will help Canadians. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, can you believe they voted against tax fairness, Mr. Speaker? Against tax fairness, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we will fight for Canadians and we will fight for the middle class.
Are they okay over there?
They're a little wacky.
I won't call them wacko, Mr. Speaker. That's unparliamentary. But I just have a very simple question. And this is for the finance minister if she's not still in hiding. Very simple question. She said she doesn't want welders to have to pay more. Will she put an amendment in her tax bill saying that not one single welder will face a tax increase.
In any given year, 0.13% of Canadians will pay a modest increase in their taxable gains. But I hear the leader across who has never seen a support for a single Canadian that he is prepared to vote for, talking about sidelining people. He sidelines that entire caucus in every single question period. We hear from him yawning and misinformation all the time, Mr. Speaker. Unchain the rest of the people over there.
Mr. Speaker, I know that the Liberals are demanding I stop asking questions. I can understand why, because the finance minister's gone into hiding and stopped answering them. She's claimed that no one except the rich is 0.13% will pay any new tax. But the greatest university economist in Canada, Jack Mintz, has reported that 1.25 million will pay. But let's not dispute who's right or wrong. Will the minister accept an amendment to her bill to ensure that not a single plumber will have to pay any extra taxes under this proposal?
Mr. Speaker, we can see how nervous and how anxious the Conservatives are. They spent 8 weeks terrified of saying anything about capital gains. And today, the Conservative leader is so anxious, he doesn't trust a single member of his caucus to say a word. But you know, Mr. Speaker, I have sympathy for them because they have shown how phony they are. They have had a chance to be on the side of working people, on the side of fairness. They've shown whose side they're really on.
Will the finance minister exempt all carpenters from her tax increase, yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, we presented every single member of this House with a very clear and actually really easy choice. Do you think someone who makes their salary, like that person in Carleton, whose only income is their wage, who's making $58,000 a year, do you think they should pay tax at a higher marginal rate than someone earning capital gains of more than $250,000 a year? It's not complicated, but it's complicated for them.
Mr. Speaker, there are a lot of restaurant owners who will pay this tax increase on their very first dollar of investment gains that inside a company. That is a fact. So will who earn $58,000 a year? So simple question. If what I'm saying is wrong, there's a very simple solution. Will the minister commit to amending her bill to say that any retiring restaurant owner who's been earning $58,000 a year will be fully exempt from any of these tax increases?
Mr. Speaker, there was once a Conservative Prime Minister. His name was John Diefenbaker. He was from the prairies like me and like the Conservative leader. He set up a royal commission on tax. And Ken Carter, who led that commission, said, memorably, a buck is a buck is a buck. He thought that all your income, whether it's a capital gain or you make it through hard work, should be taxed. But these Conservatives have shown their true colors. They are just not on the side of working people, and they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
John Diefenbaker is from Saskatchewan, where there are lots of farmers. So the member won't commit to amend her law to exempt carpenters or plumbers or retiring modest income independent restaurant owners. So very simple question. Given that we're in a food price crisis, will the finance minister amend her proposal to say that no farmer will pay higher taxes under this plan?
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader is squirming. The Conservative leader is nervous. And I know why he's nervous, Mr. Speaker, because we presented him yesterday with a very clear choice. You could be on the side of someone who sweats every day, who earns all their money through their paycheck, Or you can say someone who is earning in every single year more than $250,000 in capital gains. We know whose side we're on. Now we know whose side they're on too.
Yeah.
A wonderful grandmother, 93-year-old Liz Diachin, is severing a few lots off of her longtime family farm to give them to her kids and grandkids so that they can have a place to live in this terrible housing crisis. She was surprised to learn she's going to be paying this latest Liberal tax increase. She was asked, "Are you rich?" She said, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm on a pension." Mr. Speaker, will the Finance Minister amend her bill so that low-income grandmothers who are passing on a little bit of land for their kids to live on will not be hit by this tax increase?
The Honourable
Mr. Speaker, I want to share another quote. The wealthiest 1% who own the most expensive and luxurious real estate and have in their portfolios the most stocks and bonds will continue to see their net worth expand, having done nothing, by the way, to deserve that expanded net worth. When they sell those assets, they accrue a capital gain. We think more of it should be taxed. That's a quote from the member from Carleton. But that was when he was being a fake populist.
Mr. Speaker, Liz Diachin is not among those wealthy 1% the member just described. She has a pension of probably, I'm guessing, $45,000 a year. She's a grandmother who's simply trying to sever off a few lots so that her kids and her grandkids can have a place to live. Those lots have enough value that they will be hit by capital gains tax, and they're over $250,000. So she will pay this. She will pay us the 66% tax. So, very simple question: will the minister amend the law so that this wonderful grandmother does not have to pay higher taxes?
Mr. Speaker, I think the Conservative leader is a little bit confused because he seemed to think that those were my words I quoted. I was, in fact, quoting him. I was quoting his words about the wealthiest 1% and their stock portfolios and luxury real estate. But that was back when the Conservative leader was pretending to be a friend of working people. He was pretending to be on the side of the little guy. Yesterday we learned that is just not true, but we are on the side of fairness.
Mr. Speaker, it is true that this government has unjustly enriched the wealthiest 1% with their inflationary policies. So let's just make sure that no one else pays the bill for that. Will the minister accept an amendment to her proposal to ensure that the 99% of lowest income earners do not pay this tax increase, so this wonderful grandmother does not have to pay the bill?
The leader opposite has spent the entire question period talking about electricians and farmers and fishers and carpenters.
The Honourable Government House Leader can start from the top.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The leader opposite cites electricians, carpenters, plumbers. Mr. Speaker, I come from family, as do many of us, of farmers and electricians and people who bring home a T4 slip at the end of the year. Those people who earn an honest paycheck, what do they expect from their government? They expect tax fairness. We are asking all those who gain $250,000 on their investments in a given year, 0.13% of the population, to pay a little bit more. I don't know any electricians who are in that category, Mr. Speaker.
Well, if that were true, then they would be prepared to put in writing in the law that no farmer, fisher, or electrician will pay any new tax under this increase. Will they?
It will be in the law is that anyone who makes a capital gain over $250,000, the first $250,000 are exempt, 50% inclusion rate. Over $250,000 in a given year will pay 66%. That's less than Brian Mulroney asked them to pay, and it gets us closer to the fairness that who's asking for? The electricians, the farmers, the teachers, the nurses, the fishers, the people in Canada who expect us to stand up for tax fairness and against that!
Mr. Speaker, the minister proposes this new tax increase on every single dollar that a fisherman earns inside of his small business. There is no $250,000 exemption for him. Even if he just earns $1,000, he'll have to pay the tax increase. We forget it's not just our wonderful farmers that feed us, but it's also our fishermen. Will the finance minister amend her bill to ensure that there will not be a single fish harvester anywhere in Canada that will face a tax increase?
Speaker, I grew up in Atlantic Canada. I grew up as the grandson of 2 dairy farmers. I grew up around an awful lot of fishers. I grew up around people who worked with their hands and didn't think that electricians got electricity from the sky, but rather they got it in plugged from the wall. What I would like to challenge the leader to do is he should gather all of the electricians who think that they should not pay over $250,000 on capital gains. I'll get together all the electricians who think that a buck is a buck is a buck. We'll compare.
Will they exempt electricians from this tax hike?
Mr. Speaker, for the past couple of years, the Conservative leader has been cosplaying a friend of union workers. But yesterday, we called his bluff, and they know it. Here's what the president of the CLC said. With this vote, the Conservative leader has shown he believes that an ordinary worker flipping burgers for a living should be taxed on 100% of their income, while his CEO friends making millions from flipping stocks should be taxed on only half of their income. That is what the Conservatives believe, and it is shameful.
Wow.
Mr. Speaker, there are many union workers who have rental properties that they invest in. Will the minister make the commitment that no union worker will have to pay this tax increase?
I don't know which union workers that he's talking to, but the union workers that I talk to and that we talk to and dialogue with and that the finance minister just quoted are people who believe in solidarity, who believe in caring for others, who believe in dental plans and child care and the Canada Child Benefit and every other single thing that this leader has voted against. The very things that this fairness tax measure will pay for. So yes, Mr. Speaker, we accept the leader's challenge. Let's talk to union members and see what side of the equation they come down on.
In Statistics Canada data, Dr. Jack Mintz calculated that 50% of those who will pay this tax increase earn less than $120,000 a year, and 10% earn less than $18,000 a year. Now, we don't have to dispute these numbers. Why don't we just make it simple and make it clear? Will the minister accept an amendment to exempt anyone who earns less than $120,000 a year from this tax increase? Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, actually, there is a $250,000 threshold. So the new rate kicks in only after you've made $250,000 in capital gains in a given year. So I do want to continue to help educate the Conservative leader. I'm going to point him to...
I can't hear any of that, so I'm going to allow the Deputy Prime Minister to restart.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker, because it does seem that the Conservative leader, who for baffling reasons wants to take all the questions, maybe to show off his ignorance, doesn't actually understand.
I would ask the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister maybe to retract that and finish that. I gave enough grace to allow to repeat. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Okay, I'm sorry. I retract that. So let me just say, it was baffling baffling to me that the Conservative leader is taking all of the questions to show he doesn't really understand what we're doing, but it gives me a chance to explain it to him. So it only kicks in after 250,000 of capital gains does this new level.
I just gave that minister more than 20 opportunities to prove that what she was saying was true. I asked her, and she refused, if she'd give an exemption to her tax hike to carpenters, farmers, fishermen, plumbers, union workers, restaurant owners, electricians. She said no. She said no to exempting people who earn less than $120,000 a year. Why? Because we know that that's exactly who she's going after. She's going to rob the people who pay the bills in this country to pay for her obese and out-of-control spending. Why won't she finally end the ripoff?